We've all been in relationships before, and some of us may have been in longer relationships more than others. And at some point in a relationship, we can start to feel like this relationship is just feeling very lackluster, feeling mundane, feeling just very automatic. We're going through the same routine day in and day out with our partners, and at some point, let's just face it, it can start to get really dull and boring. And so in today's episode, I want to talk about the 5 fundamental principles of how we can create and maintain a strong, lasting relationship with our partner. Let's go. Number 1, learning your partner's love language. There's a famous book written by Dr. Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages. And this book primarily talks about the 5 different love languages that is associated with each and every one of us. And each and every one of us does have something called a love meter, which can be filled up depending on what our love language is, right? It talks about physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, and spending quality time with our partners. And essentially what this book is about is basically explaining that if we're able to fulfill our partner's love languages and be able to fill that love meter, then ultimately we will create and maintain a strong and long-lasting relationship with our partner. Number 2, communication. Now, we all know that this is an obvious answer. Every strong relationship has good communication. And a lot of times it can be really hard to really express our feelings authentically with our partner, because many times we're afraid of perhaps hurting their feelings. We're afraid of starting an argument, or we're just afraid of getting into that this naggingness between couples that end up bringing the same topic over and over. And I want to reinforce or reiterate that sometimes being able to communicate verbally is not just hallmark of good communication. It's actually being able to listen to your partner, especially what her wants and needs and desires are. And I know this happens to a lot of us where, let's say we're having a conversation with a friend or coworkers or whoever it is, and the minute we're saying something, we'll get interrupted 2 or 3 seconds later, completely losing our train of thought, while the other person just basically interrupted what it is you were trying to say. And this happens a lot in a lot of the situations and interactions that I have with a lot of people, where let's say if I'm just talking about a specific topic that I'm interested in, all of a sudden the person just interrupts me and just completely, I just end up losing my train of thought. It just makes me feel like I'm not really important. Like my opinion is not important because you're continuously cutting me off and just trying to interrupt what it is I'm trying to say. And let's face it, we've all been in situations like that. One other thing that I do want to bring up is on the idea of you. And what I mean by that is we've all been in a situation where if we did something wrong, all of a sudden our partner's attacking us and saying, honey, I hate the way you did this. Let's take the most obvious example. Honey, I hate the way you just leave the dishes after dinner. Like, why don't you ever wash your own dishes? And for some reason, when our partners end up using that specific verbiage, we end up getting defensive, right? We've all been there. It's like, what the hell? Like, why are you attacking me? I just finished. Like, can I just relax? Like, please leave me alone. And rather than criticizing and attacking your partner's judgment or character, we have to approach it in a way where it makes them feel like they understand. And so rather than saying, honey, I hate the way you leave the dishes, say, honey, I would really appreciate it if you help me out with the dishes after dinner, because I feel like every time you just put the dishes away, it makes me feel like you're just expecting me to be your maid. You expect me to be your servant. And if I'm gonna cook, I would appreciate it if you cleaned, right? We should all approach an argument in a way where we are benefiting the relationship. And what I mean by that is taking your partner's emotions and their considerations into account, because a lot of times we have to be able to let our partners know how we feel. And if you're attacking your partner based off what they did, they're never going to really understand empathetically what it is that you're feeling. So in order for them to really understand, you have to let them know that leaving the dishes on a dinner equals me feeling this, right? So rather than saying you don't wash dishes and therefore I hate you, let them know why you get angry or why you feel disappointed or sad or whatever it is that you're feeling when your partner leaves the dishes on the dinner table, or in this case the sink. So again, being able to really express just your emotions really helps out any relationship and career as well, right? Anyways, different topic. All right, let's move on to number 3, personal growth. And this one is a new concept for me that I didn't really understand until after the end of my previous relationship. And I was talking to my other good friend and what makes her relationship strong with her partner. And one of the key concepts that she ends up bringing up is on the idea of growing together. And what that essentially means is that every partner, for the most part, we end up having partners of equal level, right? We're never going to date someone this high. We're never going to date someone this low compared to our normal circumstances. And so in order for our partners, in order for our relationship to actually thrive and grow stronger, both partners essentially have to move almost in equal terms, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that if your partner, let's say, getting an MBA, that you also have to get your MBA, but you have to be able to contribute and bring something new to the table as well. Because let's face it, if your partner is, let's say, pursuing a new career, he or she is trying to move up the career ladder, and you're just kind of staying here and just kind of watching TV, playing video games, they're not really learning new things, they're not trying to implement personal growth into your own life. What ends up happening is perhaps they may lose some respect for you, because kind of like, I'm putting in so much effort into my own personal growth and my own personal gain, and here I see you just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over. Let's face it, that can get really disinteresting to the way we see our partner. So in order for us to really have a good relationship with our partner, again, you have to either be equal ground or you have to both be growing at almost equal level to make sure that you guys are continuously bringing something new to the table. That way you guys can talk about something new, right? That's always fun and exciting. No one likes to just talk about the same thing over and over and over. It gets boring. Number 4, date nights. Right, this one's pretty obvious, but do you remember back in the day when you were first courting your partner and it was so exciting, right? You're like, oh, I can't wait to see you on Friday. You'd actually make the conscientious effort to, plan a nice dinner, maybe perhaps see a nice movie or a play or a Broadway show or whatever it is that you guys had planned. And at some point down the relationship, we just stop trying. Like, we end up forgetting what it's like to really date our partner, because let's face it, we have them, right? Why even try? We have them in our grasp. We don't have to really do anything anymore. But what happens when, let's say, a new man or a new woman enters the workplace and all of a sudden your partner's kind of attracted to this person? You end up trying to put in the effort, right? Because you feel like there's an imminent threat that may take your partner away from you. So instead of having that imminent threat kind of being that triggering moment for you to start courting and dating your partner again, try and make it an active effort to always try and plan a date night. And one of the hardest things I know is people with kids, right? When you guys have kids, it's really hard to find that spare time to really have that alone time with just you and your love, right? Either get a babysitter, have someone babysit the kids for a few hours, because I really honestly, you have to maintain the relationship through just keeping it exciting, keeping it like, you guys have to remember what it is you guys fell in love together for. That was horrible English, but you guys get the point that I'm trying to say. Remember, you have to remember what it was that really brought you guys together, and you guys have to be able to maintain it. So make sure you guys really plan date nights, and it could be as simple as just having a picnic at the park, grabbing a little picnic basket, having some wine, just talking about the good old days, to going something fancy and setting up a reservation to one of your favorite restaurants, or in this case, trying a new restaurant. But whatever it is, just make sure you guys put in the effort, do your hair again, put on some nice clothes, and just remember what it's like dating the partner that you just wanted to spend the rest of your life with. All right, last but not least, number 5. Don't forget to just appreciate and tell your partner just how much you mean to them. I mean, this one is a pretty obvious sentiment, but I know a lot of times we end up forgetting and telling our partners just how much they really mean to us, how much we love them. And for one reason or another, this kind of relates back to number 4. It's just like, we have them in our grasp, we see them every day, and we just kind of feel like, let's face it, we take our partners for granted. We all do. And I've been in that situation. My friends have been in that situation. We've all taken our partners for granted. So rather than just assuming that they're going to be there forever, you got to let them know, honey, I really appreciate all the things that you do for our family, all the things that you do to make sure that we're happy, we're taken care of. And I just want to let you know that I love you, right? That wasn't so hard. But again, many times a lot of us tend to forget to do that. So just let your partners know just how much they mean to you in their life. All right, guys. So hopefully you learned a little something about relationships and how to make your relationship thrive and just make it fulfilling. And I just want to reiterate that relationships are hard, right? It's not meant to be easy. But like anything in life, anything that's worth doing requires time and it requires effort. So don't forget some of the reasons why you're with your partner, right? Remember those times you went on date nights. Remember all those good conversations you had, and above all, remember to continue to grow and learn from each other and being able to express authentically what it is you guys both want and desire in the relationship. Because again, that is one of the key factors in any social dynamical social situation, is being able to communicate your wants and your needs to the person you are communicating with. And so I just want to say once again that relationships is one of the most, let's face it, it's one of the best things that life has to live for. And if you find a partner that you're willing to spend the rest of your life with, you got to make sure you keep it, because otherwise you may lose it, right? Sometimes some things, let's just face it, some things are not meant to last. And so make sure you put in the effort, okay? All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next week.